Welcome to Pose-Tober, everybody. This is Jason, and the name of this week's workshop is Positive Thinking Part 1. This is the first of a 4-part workshop about posing, and let's crack on. Let's get started. What are pose boxes? A pose box is an in-game sim-controlled object that, upon being given a set of instructions, puts your sim in a specified pose or releases the sim from that pose. How do pose boxes work? Upon accessing the objects menu, that's a T tab, the sim selects a command or behave that places an animation overlay or ANIM over the sim's animation skeleton. Before we begin, we need to set up Milkshape. In order to work with Milkshape ANIM resources, we need to download and install WesHowe's AniMesh tools. The link is provided in the resource post. Then we extract the DLL and INI and we install those wherever your Milkshape root folder is located. Then we open Milkshape, we select Window in the toolbar and make sure that Show Keyframer is checked. Then open a pose template. I provided male and female pose templates in the resource post. We click on the ANIM button in the lower right to enter into animation mode. Then we go to the Joints tab and we double click on the joint that we want to operate on. In this example, right upper arm. We hop over to the Model tab. We select Rotate and then we make sure that the radio dial for local is selected and that we're rotating on center of mass. The local, if we have it set to global, for example, if you're articulating smaller joints like thumbs and fingers, the global joint, it's going to really twist those out of shape. So we want to make sure that we're on local. So you can change the position of each joint by double clicking and then rotating in the 3D viewport. So you can see I'm repositioning the right upper arm here. And then once you have it roughly in position, you double click on the next joint and rotate and so on until you've got the pose articulated the way that you want it. The root trans joint is a translation joint. This is the exception to all of the other joints. It slides instead of rotating. If you want to reposition the body relative to the ground, double click on the root trans joint, then move to the Model tab and select Move and change the sim's position by clicking and dragging in the viewports. Once you're happy with the pose overall, select Animate, Set Keyframe. Then you'll notice immediately that the entire skeleton lights up yellow, just like this. Save the pose as a Milkshape file so that you can come back and edit it later. Then we need to export the pose. So we go File, Export, Sims 2 AniMesh ANIM Exporter version 1.01. We export the data as an ANIM. We make sure that body animation is selected in the ANIM type dropdown, and we leave all of the other settings as they are. Then we just click export. So to build the pose box, we can either add animations to the pose box that I've already provided, or we can clone our own. But for the purpose of this, we won't be cloning. We'll just go through the steps. In SimPE, we open the pose box template. Then we right click anywhere on the resource list and we select add from the drop down. We navigate to where we've exported the 5ANs. That's the file from SimPE that we exported. We make sure that we've got all files selected in the lower right dropdown, and we just grab that 5AN. In this example, the one that says Lele Panchita. The resource has been imported, but it appears as user-defined. So we select that user-defined resource in the resource tree, then once again in the resource list. We hop over to the resource tab. We make sure that for type, in the type dropdown, we select animation resource. Then we hop back over to the plugin view. In the plugin view, with that new animation, we click on Fix TGI. That's going to update the instance and instance height values. We can now commit and save. From here, we move on to the STR. So we select the STR in the resource tree, once again in the resource list. In this template, I have it so that each line of the STR corresponds to the behave, and that corresponds to the line in the T tab. So in line 4, we enter the name of our new pose. So in this case, Lele Panchita. We commit, we save. Then the action behave. So we go up to the behave in the resource tree. We select behave 1004 in the resource list. We select command line 1. That's the one that actually points to the animation. We make sure that it's pointing to the correct animation. I've highlighted some of the important operands. So of these operands, the first text box, the one outlined in blue, this is the line of the str that the behave is pointing to. Then the bottom row, the second operand box, this is the actual number, the instance number of the str that is pointing to. In this case, it's 81 or adult animations. The third box, this is normal or flipped. So we can play an ANIM backwards. So say if the right arm were up normally, the left arm will be up. If it's flipped, we can control whether that's flipped or not. Priority. So this is the fourth box on the second row. And what this means is if it's set too low, then if you play another animation over it, it will override that. So if you're using, for example, an overlay where only a part of the arm is posed and you don't want the Maxis anims to eat that, you make sure that that's set to priority high. And then flipped in temp, that's the last box on the bottom row. What that does, it randomizes whether the pose is flipped or not. So there's a 50-50 chance that it plays normal and there's a 50-50 chance that it plays flipped. If you're unsure what each operand does, what you can do is click that instruction wizard. That will pop up how the animation is programmed, and you can just modify it here as well. We just pop that open, make sure that it's referencing everything correctly, and that's it. We click OK. Then as a final step for the action behave, what we need to do, we rename the file name, give it a descriptive name so that we can find it easily when we try to hook it up in the T tab. The stop behave. So now we select 1003 in the resource list. You can see that the command line is calling for primitive 6C, that's animate stop, and that all of these different poses are strung together. Best practice is to write a stop all behave, but some creators prefer a single stop behave for each pose. So in the stop behave, the only operand that we're really worried about is the first operand box. This is the line of the str that we're pointing to. So in this case, the same line is in the action behave, line 4 or Lele Panchita. That's the pose that is going to stop. The T-task. So we select the T-task in the resource tree, then again in the resource list. In the T-task plugin, we select line 4. So we're doing this intentionally because line 4 connects to line 4 of the T-tab and behave 1004. We give that string a name. So we enter Lele Panchita because that's a pose that I want to play. And as a note, if you add ... it creates a sublevel of string. So if you want sublevels, you can do that. Best practice, do not name all of your poses, pose 1, pose 2, pose 3, etc. There's more than enough space to give your strings descriptive names. So make sure that instead of pose 1, you're naming it something clear like hand over stomach. Then final step, the T tab. We select the T tab in the resource tree, then once again in the resource list. Now, because I had this pose box configured just so, we can see that string 4, Lele Panchita, points to behave 1004, Lele Panchita. Just make sure that the string is pointing to the behave. And we set our guardian to 0. We don't need a guardian behave for this. Down in the age fields, make sure that it's set up for adults and elders. You might want to add teens. You might want to make it play immediately, etc. Once you've got it where you like it, you commit, you save, and you're ready to test. Editing Jason here. So I'm a complete dolt and I forgot to record at the start of the workshop. So the female pose was already posed when I started recording. So I'm going to go back and repose that now just so that you're familiar with the process. Okay, so let's put it into practice. So what I'm doing, I'm going to mess with a couple of Decker Galzo poses. So this one, it has never worked right. For some reason, she messed with the short joint in the thigh here, which is shorts. And so the thighs never look right when the sim is in underwear for some reason. So we start, we make sure that our keyframer is visible. Then in the lower right, we click on ANIM. That puts us in ANIM mode. Then we go to our joints tab and we click right upper arm. Go to our model tab, we select rotate. We make sure that this radio dial is global. This radio dial we leave as center of mass. And we just rotate down roughly, maybe back a little bit. And move on to our forearm. So to change joints, we just double click where it says forearm, scoot that forward. Now let's do the hand. Maybe take that out just a little. And let's, no, not that. Yeah, let's do that with the forearm. Maybe take it back. That's not quite right. Can we, what do we need to do? Okay. Nope, the forearm. So scoot the forearm up. Kind of in maybe. And then let's not bend the hand that extremely. Maybe take the whole thing back. Just scoot the upper arm back. Okay, so now we get to the thumbs. I'm not going to mess with thumb 0 because in Milkshape, the thumbs don't look exactly the way that they do in game. What you see in Milkshape is not what you get in game. So let's just leave thumb 0. We select thumb 1. We just kind of close it a little bit, not too much. We want to make it look natural. Then we get to the fingers. A lot of creators do what I like to call kung fu hands. They just stop articulating at the fingers. It does not look natural at all. So I like to relax the fingers a little bit. So just rotate that in. Then we select index 1, rotate in slightly. Then we select mid 0. Do the same thing. We're just relaxing all of the fingers. Yeah, just make it look a lot more natural that way. Okay, that's the right arm. Now let's mess with the left arm. We're going to do the same thing. Let's kind of reposition it. Yeah, maybe a little closer to the body. Yeah, good enough. And let's take that in maybe. Twist it a little bit. I take it just not quite that far in there. Now let's mess with the hand. The hand, we just kind of need to turn it and bend it inward. Maybe not quite that much. I would just trying to get a natural looking pose. And then we mess with the thumbs. So we just bend those thumbs in slightly, not too much. We just want it just kind of a natural, relaxed pose. We don't want it too weird. Okay. Now, that's the upper torso. So then if we look at Decker Gal's original pose, we can see the hips are cocked slightly. So we go down here, we go to the pelvis. We just want to roll that a little, not too much. We just want to make sure that the right is a little bit higher than the left. And we go down to our right thigh and let's straighten that. Okay, so something like that. Then we can see it's not quite straight up and down. It's rotated out a little bit. So we rotate our thigh just out at not too much, just at a bit of an angle. Maybe take that back out that way just a little bit. It's really sensitive. You move it just a tiny bit and it goes too far. There. That's the right leg. Now we select the left leg. Oh, the right leg I'm not happy with. Go back to the right thigh. Too much. If you move it back, yeah, that's better. And we move to the left thigh. So this one is up just a bit like that. Then we need to bend it a little bit forward. Then we need to bend the left calf in just a bit, not too much. And the foot's not quite touching the ground, so we just bend the foot down. We don't mess with the toe. So this is my pose, and this is Decker Gal's pose. It's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect because we're trying to recreate from a sample image, but it is pretty close. So animate, set keyframe. Then I go save as. I'm going to get this pop-up. Just click that yes. And save it as female model pose 3. Back to our viewports, we go open, and let's open that male animation template. In our joints tab, we start with right upper arm like so. And his right upper arm is just kind of loosely at his side. So we need to rotate that like almost all the way down. And maybe back a little bit. Fairly close to the original pose, except the head isn't turned. So I think we're good. So we go animate, set keyframe. Then we go file, save as. Male model pose. Just like that. Okay, so that's the milkshape part. File, export, Sims to AniMesh model. And a good suggestion from William is that we should begin this with an A just to indicate that it's an adult. So we go A. I'm going to call it male model hyphen repose. If I can type. And here we want to make sure this is body body animation. We don't want to go body overlay. We just export like so. Then go back to female model pose, click the animate button, and we do the same thing. We go file, export, to AniMesh exporter, and we're going to name this the same thing except female. To create a new pose box, we pop open SimPE, we open Object Workshop, we open, and let's go to my project folder. And I'm going to call this, I'm just going to call it test pose box 2. Just so that we have a view of what it looks like from start to finish. So we clone the pose box. Just like that. So we have the pose box cloned. Now I am going to get an original GID. And generate your GIDs however you want. This is the method that I use. It's not always reliable, but in about 999 cases out of 1,000 it is. Sometimes you have a duplicate GID. So I'm going to call this test pose box 2. Copy that GID. Paste it over the GID here. Update, commit. Give that a quick save. Then we don't need to mess with GMDC. We don't need to mess with any of that. We need to add ANIMs. So to add ANIMs, click on any resource. Just here in the resource tree, we click add. Then in this drop down, we select all files. You can see we've got our 2 5ANs. Just open those. So you've got these unknown resources or user-defined resources here in the resource tree. We select those. We shift select them in the resource list. We hop over to resource tab. We make those into ANIM resources. And back over to the plugin view. I'm going to copy this name. I'm going to just paste it in my trusty notepad. Then we fix TGI. We just click that fix TGI link and you can see it updated the instance and the instance high. Yeah, we do the same thing with the female model pose. Just copy that name like so. Paste it. Fix TGI. Give that a quick commit. Okay, so we've imported our ANIMs. Hey folks, editing Jason once again. So while we were doing the workshop, Rachel noticed that clicking on Fix TGI did not update the group values for the two ANIMs that I added. So I'm going to show you a fix for that right now. That is a good point about the group. What we can do, tools, object tools, fix integrity. Give that a quick, or don't update, just click OK. There we go.
Okay. So fixing integrity. Okay. Does that.
Fix TGI is just on this one resource, but for some reason it doesn't update the group. But if you fix integrity, the only issue with fix integrity, if you do that, go to your text list, go back to anims, and just make sure that it didn't rename your animations.
Oh, okay.
Then we go to the STR. We look for animations adult. That's it's instance 81. Select that one. We go to line 4. I messed up here. Female model pose. So we go to line 4. Let's start with the female. Then we make line 5 the male. Give that a quick commit. Give it a save. Then we go to our behaves. We sort descending. So we just double click on the instance header. And you can see 4 is test pose 1. So it plays normally, not flipped. It's not flipped in temp. Priority medium. Yep, everything looks good here. I'm fine with that. Let's not call it pose. Let's call it repose. Give that a quick commit. Then on the male, we select the male pose in the resource list. Select that last command line. Yep, everything looks good. So we just name this male repose 1. Commit. Give that a save. And we go to the t-tasks. Now on line 4, we know that this is our female pose. So I'm going to call it model pose. And just to make sure that there's a nested level in that, I go ... /. We'll call that hands on front, legs apart, because that's the name of the original pose. ... hand over stomach. And we commit the STRs. Then, as a final step, we go to the T tab. And here, I don't really need these placeholders because we're not using them. I just want to leave in this is cloned from one of my, it's basically just a grab and go postbox maker. So it has all of the face overlays already in it. So I'm not going to delete those. I'm going to leave those as is. We just select the line here. It can be played on adults, teens, elders, and visitors. And we just make sure that this PI-ID string is pointing to this pose. And the same thing here. Model pose hand over stomach is the Mayo repose 1. We commit, we save, and we're ready to test. Okay, so we took a little bit of time to set it up. We can see that our test pose box 2 is here in hobbies, miscellaneous for 0. So we grab our sims. Let's do Abby first. So we go model pose, hands on front, legs apart. And then let's grab Ben. Model pose, hand over stomach. And you can see he's kind of a big dude, and that pose, the hand is in a little bit. So yeah, he just, I mean, the hand just kind of clips into his suit there. So that's not cool. Let's try a different sim. Model pose, hand over stomach. See, that's what it looks like when it doesn't clip. And that's pretty much it. That's how you make basic poses.